So you were essentially auditing the auditors.
Absolutely. I realized that was a very powerful position.
Yeah.
And it was a very responsible position because your results directly impact the results of the firm.
Staying out of India versus coming back to India. So you're like a desi guy at heart. The kinds that we see in Swades, right? The music rings and you're like, my country's calling back.
I wouldn't technically call myself as fully blown chartered accountant, but somewhat as a technical accountant because I'm good in software. I can easily absorb and I could be a good combination of it.
Amazing. That's the kind of people that we need today. Do you see Shah Rukh Khan movies?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them.
Which one's your favorite?
I just love Swades. It is one of the prolific
That's happened
movies.
with you all the time, right? South Africa to India, New York City to India.
ये मेरा मोहन है, अमेरिका से आया है.
So you are a leader of a CPA firm, GCC in India. When do we get your enrollment?
Great. You put me on spot now. It's not about geographies. It's about client service at Withum. Whether you're getting a work done in New York or Bengaluru, it is the same.
So as you say, it's perhaps the Withum way of working.
Withum way of working. Hey, I've met you before. I know how you guys work. So they understood, where I'm coming from. And that really helped me have that direct conversation with them. Withum is one of US's offices. It's an extended office. It's just that we work on a different time zone.
Do you still watch Tamil movies or Bollywood movies?
Hukum, tiger ka hukum.
If I hear a good feedback about them, I do definitely go and watch.
Okay, so you sort of want the audit feedback.
Yeah, you can say
The review.
that. You can say that. Where I had supported the team prepping them and they didn't remediate my comments, I obviously had to be tough on them. Hey, I told you this. I told you.
So you learn to be a boss. Like this kid Abhinav, chartered accountant from India, and is coming and bullying us.
And then I'm sure the third point, you must have heard it in many different forums.
Don't nod your head.
Don't nod your head and ask questions.
So before a big boardroom presentation, what is the song that runs in your head?
Yun hi chal raha rahi from Swades. I really like that song.
यूं ही चला चल रही यूं ही चला चल रही जीवन गाड़ी है समय पहिया.
Keep going. Keep calm. Keep going. That's the perfect song for an accountant.
Absolutely. Eventually, few years down the line, it's not going to be about accounting or healthcare or software. It's all going to be integrated with technology. So people have to see the growth in technology as something which is helping them and not really fight with it. See how better you can use that to your advantage. And accounting is here to stay because no tool or an AI can replace an auditor's judgment.
Hello and welcome back to CPAs Unplugged, the India GCC series, where we are celebrating Indian leaders who've built the GCC ecosystem for public accounting in India. Today on our show, we've got Abhinav Vijayaraghavan, the Managing Director for Withum in India. Abhinav, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Varun. My pleasure to be here.
So how does it feel being on a podcast? An accountant, a chartered accountant on a podcast.
Yeah, usually you wouldn't get to see a chartered accountant on a podcast, and it's been a great journey so far for me here. And it's exciting. It's my first podcast, and right from the time the setup was done, the makeup guy came and do it. It's pretty phenomenal, right?
You
It's
didn't
the
need
first
makeup,
time.
we just did it for the lights.
Thank you for that.
So what's your story, Abhinav? How did you get into accounting, scaling up, and then GCC with them? I mean, what happened?
Yeah, mine is an interesting journey. I come from a family where you don't have a lot of accountants, so I could hardly count, including me, 2 or 3 chartered accountants in my family. It was predominantly engineers throughout my family, and luckily my parents allowed me to have my own choice of doing what I wanted to do, and CA was something that struck chord with me way back in the year 97. That's when I decided.
When you did engineering versus accounting, how did accounting win?
Accounting, I think it's much more diverse in my opinion. Like if you are an accountant, you could work anywhere. I don't think with an engineer you could do it.
I love that. Okay.
So that was one thing that attracted me, and I was somewhat logically involved in complex problem solving right from day one. So that intrigued me more. I wouldn't technically call myself as fully blown chartered accountant, but somewhat as a technical accountant because I'm good in software. I can easily absorb, and I could be a good combination of both.
Amazing. That's the kind of people that we need today.
Absolutely.
So you got into CA. How did it feel? I mean, it's not an easy journey.
It's not an easy journey, but one thing that I realized early on in my career is CAs need to understand the business. The business results in the number. It's not the other way around. It's not the numbers driving the business. It's the other way around. So as long as you have a good grasp of what the business does, you would have a good comfort on the numbers. So that was my mantra, and that's what I learned throughout my articleship.
Wow. And when did you become a chartered accountant?
So exactly 20 years ago, on July 13th, my results came, 2005. That's when I became a chartered accountant.
So it's like 2 decades.
2 decades.
What has changed in these 2 decades?
A lot of it. Like I could start off my journey. So after I qualified, I worked with RSM South Africa. In their practice.
You were in South Africa?
Yeah, I was in South Africa.
Wow.
Working for their international practice for RSM, and not across a single department. I was working with multiple different departments.
So you're like an Indian chartered accountant in South Africa. So you had a good time?
Absolutely. It was fantastic. And first 9 years I spent there. I worked with the audit wing, the advisory, the taxation, the secretarial practice, and compliances practice. So it was a well-rounded journey for me. I didn't want to stick to a particular area of specialization. So that went well. Then at some point, I had a family situation where I had to come back to India in the year 2015. And I came back, then EY GDS gave me this wonderful opportunity to be a part of their quality inspections team. And I spent about 6 years there till the year 2021. And post that, I'm here at Withum from 2021 till date.
So tell us more about South Africa.
Oh, South Africa is a fantastic and a very.
How
very
did you get a job
place.
there in the first place?
Yeah, that's the interesting part. Remember, I told you about a couple of accountants in my family.
Yeah.
One of them was in South Africa.
Okay, right? Like Abhinav, you also come. We'll have fun together.
Yes, he was my uncle. He was one of my biggest inspirations in doing CA. He was an entrepreneur, and he took me there. He helped me understood what it meant to be an entrepreneur, what it meant to be a chartered accountant. And that was a life-changing journey for me. And that really helped till this day in terms of what I've been able to execute.
And then after spending many years in South Africa, you come back to India and then you join EY. How was that transition, staying out of India versus coming back to India? Smooth?
Right. It was very smooth for me.
Okay.
Right. And I know that people.
So you're like a desi guy at heart. The kinds that we see in Swades, right? The music rings and you're like, my country's calling back.
No, absolutely. It was the Swades vibe that I had. And one thing that we were looking forward to it, right? For me and my wife to be here and start our journey. It was basically starting from scratch for us, right? And I would be very thankful to EY for giving me that opportunity, placing that trust, and giving me the role. It was a dream role for me. And when I joined it, I didn't know about the volume of that role. I thought, all in the first 9 years, I've been client facing. Now this is a non-client facing role. How can I
tell us more? I mean, what was this non-client facing role at EY?
So it was more to do with the internal teams. I would be working with somebody from EY Americas or EY Europe or Asia Pacific and help them get better in what they do. So it was a very intriguing part for me, like spending the first 9 years talking to a client, pushing them to sign an engagement letter, making sure that I raise a billing by end of the month, collect that money. This was a completely transitional role for me where it was much more process oriented, and it's a lot of value that you could add.
So tell us more about this role.
Yeah, this particular role involves a lot of support for the EY audit practice, where we do a lot of inspections. When I talk about inspections, it's a support to a regulatory inspection. So before a PCOB inspection happens to one of our engagements, we prep the team, we review the files, we tell them where are the pitfalls.
So this is essentially the quality control.
It's completely a quality control kind of a role. So that gradually transitioned into internal inspections as well. We call them audit quality reviews, where we were going through the firm's its own inspections, right? So I could get a file for some partner sitting in New Jersey or even New Zealand, for example, and I could give them the inspection comments. Hey, this went well, this didn't go well. And I had the opportunity also to visit various global EY offices as a part of this AQR.
So you were essentially auditing the auditors.
Absolutely.
How did that feel?
I realized that was a very powerful position.
Yeah.
And it was a very responsible position because your results directly impact the results of the firm. And I was glad that it really worked out well for me. And that is one role at some point I would, make all the CPAs to at least go through in their career. It really gives a different vibe. It gives a different perspective of a chartered accountant or a CPA on what they should be doing from an audit standpoint. So I think it was a very great experience for me.
So I recall, after the Enron Arthur Andersen mess, SOX was passed and PCAOB was created. Initially, there was a lot of skepticism, that the PCAOB had with auditors, especially after the collapse of Arthur Andersen, and they've been rather tough, right? Because again, they want to make sure that shit doesn't happen. How was it dealing with PCAOB? Were they very, very tough on you guys? Or if they were tough on you and you went back to the auditors and said, for you, I had to face them.
Yeah, so I had the fortunate, opportunity to be in the States in the New York office of EY to go through a couple of inspections, which included one of a large insurer company and a couple of broker dealers. And I would say that it was a very mixed experience for me. And they were hard on many different occasions, but they were also accommodative in terms of, our submissions on why we chose a particular audit methodology or a path. So it was pretty phenomenal. And obviously, where I had supported the team prepping them and they didn't remediate my comments, I obviously had to be tough on them. Hey, I told you this. I told you this.
So you learned to be a boss.
I learned to be a boss, yes. And the best part here, Varun, is when you talk to these partners at that point, considering my age, I used to work with partners who had experience of my age, right? Like 20 years of experience as a partner.
Like this kid, Abhinav.
This kid is sitting in the other side of the
a chartered
globe.
accountant from India and is coming and bullying us.
Exactly. That was the thing. And that really helped me in one aspect, which is influence, right? How do you positively influence somebody that this is right or wrong? And of course, the decision is theirs. At the end of the day, it's a partner's decision on what they want to change on an engagement file. We do respect that, but it gave me a lot of insights on how partners think from a risk management standpoint, from a client service standpoint, and the commitment, right? Obviously, one error or a mistake that they've committed, how are they planning to rectify it in the next cycle of an audit, right? That was more important, looking ahead and helping things. So overall, a great experience.
So how was New York? How was New York City?
Well, New York was fantastic.
Did you chill or you just dealing with the PCAOB mess?
Those days were a lot of work. So we used to start off at 8 and I used to finish only by 10 or 11 because we had
so you only saw the lights.
Yeah. All I saw was the New York Times Square billboard when I came out, right? And that was my experience, but it was worth the time spent because we had to go through the inspection comments for that particular day, prep the team for the very next day, making sure that all those comments are addressed and how are we going to talk to them, how are we going to present our submissions and all of that. So it was a very fantastic experience.
So PCAOB also, traditionally had some skepticism around the GCC setup, right? It started, of course, the big fours, were leaders, Deloitte and EY, and of course, KPMG and PwC, all of them. There was some level of skepticism about work being, done globally, work being done in India, India being the mothership for GCCs. Did you also encounter any of these? How do you have global teams and then, ensure that audit quality is maintained, quality control is maintained, work papers are in place? Did you sort of face any challenges or any things around the GCC setup for EY in particular or for public accounting firms in general?
So I could probably answer that from a Withum standpoint. So at Withum, the processes in terms of either be it trainings, continued professional education, or even a methodology change, for example, is centralized from the US. So whatever training the US professionals get, the same thing gets delivered to India, right? And quite frankly, very recently we had a soft inspection from PCAOB that went through. They were extremely happy with
So soft inspection from PCAOB with the India GCC?
With the India GCC.
Okay, wow.
Right. So they were here for a couple of days and, they looked at what are our processes internally in terms of
and were they happy?
they were extremely happy with it.
And they know there's a guy who's dealt with PCOB in the
That was my pitch to them, right? Hey, I've met you before. I know how you guys work. So they understood where I'm coming from, and that really helped me have that direct conversation with them, give them the assurance, basically, right? That it's not a KPO. It is Withum is one of US's offices. It's an extended office. It's just that we work on a different time zone, but whatever we do is consistent with what the US does.
So taking a step back, Abhinav. So EY, you were the auditor of auditors, and then from there you decided to move to Withum, where your job would be scaling up teams, building up the GCC, and of course, as powerful as you were at EY. Here you would be at the receiving end, right? Because so many clients, external and internal, to manage. How did you take that plunge?
So that's a great question, Varun. The first step is 450 different people, 450 different expectations, right? And that itself is a challenge, right? Because in my role, I want to enable people give their best. I want to give them the platform and the environment where they can succeed.
So you could have been a bad guy earlier. Now you'll have to be like a very good guy.
I have to be balanced in what we do, because we have the US stakeholders on one side, then I have my own team on the other side, and it's striking the right balance between both. Just making sure that the expectations are, in sync between both parties in terms of what should be the output.
So what was going on in your mind when this opportunity came?
So this was a very fantastic opportunity, and the first thing first, Withum was a growing firm at that point in time. So nobody heard about Withum. And for me, it was, I did do my research, and I did see a lot of opportunity outside the Big Four where you could get into this kind of a role. And the biggest factor for me, this was the first question I had asked my partner in charge. How different are you from EY GDS? Please help me understand that.
Wow.
And the answer
who was the partner in charge of it?
And he said, that's a fantastic question. So what he told me was, we want to give all the professionals the same opportunity as a team member in the United States, right? So it's not going to be only, objective kind of a job that's going to be given to an India staff. It would be the same level, complexity, and challenging work as somebody in the US. Then I said, is it going to be something that you think it's going to happen in the next 1 year? Then he said, no. That's why we want you to be there. Then I said, I'm signing up for it. I'm ready for this.
Amazing. So you moved in from a Big Four into a top 25 firm, and then you said, I'll take the challenge. A well-known brand, EY, into Withum, not as known, at least in the India, accounting community. And you said, I'm going to build up the GCC and scale up. What were the challenges that you faced when you joined Withum? Like top few challenges.
Right. So the first and foremost, right, the cultural alignment.
You talk with India-US?
India-US cultural alignment, right? So obviously the Indians' way of working is slightly different from the US standpoint. One example that I could give is somebody reaching from India to the US on, let's say, Teams or some other platform. They would say, hi, wait for a response. That was the first thing that was annoying from the US side. Hey, put in your question completely. I'll make sure that I respond back to you in time.
That's
right?
interesting. Okay.
So it started off with that. So predominantly.
And tell us more instances. So the cultural differences. And I think that's going to be good learning also on this.
No, absolutely. That was one significant thing that we are trying to effectively still change. But yes, many people have now they understood, okay, both sides now, even culture is something that you cannot change overnight, right? You'll have to absorb it. You'll have to work around it, typically. So now the US also is aware that, hey, if somebody's going to ping me a hi, they're going to wait for it. Let me ping them a hi. They'll get back to me with their questions. I'll respond whenever I can. Right? So it's now connectivity both sides. The second aspect predominantly was on calls, right? Like when you talk to somebody, we typically ask them to be on videos, right? Just so that you have that face-to-face connect. And in US, that generally happens. In India, it's an added effort. Hey, you must be on video on a scheduled call. You must be on your video. And that was one thing culturally that changed, that we had to make that change. So be presentable, be visible on those calls, make sure that you're being impactful. So that also
that's small but important.
But very important. And I'm sure the third point you must have heard it in many different forums.
Don't nod your head.
Don't nod your head and ask questions, right? Our people generally are extremely quick in grasping things, right? But how do you demonstrate your knowledge that you've understood something, especially in a training forum? So you ask good questions, or you affirm what you've learned. Hey, this is my understanding. Please confirm it.
But typically, when you look at Indian persona, right, often folks are very shy to ask
very
questions.
shy. That's true.
Even if they have a question, they're like, should I ask? Will I be judged?
That's right. So we strategically place, high-performing team members who are very outspoken in these forums. They ask one question, there'll be a bunch of questions following that.
You are the first guy to...
You're the first guy to talk, and then, many people will have that confidence and then start talking about it. So that is something that has worked for us. But initially, going back, to our challenge, the first thing was culture, right? And we had to smoothen that out to a large extent. And right now, I would say that we are much better off than
So, you said culture is both ends, right? When you're having a global team here in India and partnering with US clients, internal and external, and predominantly internal that we're talking about here. And you said you had a lot of inputs for your India team. What were the inputs for your US teams?
Right. Very good question. So US team had to really understand how the India dynamics works, right? Like, for example, one thing I would say is the Indian team stretches a lot in the second half of the day to manage the overlap time.
Correct.
So we had to help them understand that, hey, I know that you might be busy with your client team, but India team is waiting to connect with you. So schedule your calls early in your day.
Sure.
Not later in your day or in your afternoon. And that's going to really impact the next day for the India team professional. They'll have to change everything, right?
Correct.
From their personal perspective to a professional perspective. Everything has to change. So that has tapered down now, and they are able to accommodate the calls early on. Right. And the second thing that we told them was, especially in a training environment where it's a virtual training, it's okay to ask people questions. Hey, person X, could you help me understand, what did you learn out of this?
So you're making them speak up.
Making them speak up, right? Encouraging them to speak up furthermore, right? And that has really helped our team integrate much better with the US. So these are few things that we did. And year on year, we do have a cultural training sessions for both groups, both India and US.
Wow.
And that really emphasizes, because each year there are additions in India, there are additions in the US. So we want to make sure that synchronization happens throughout the year. So once or twice a year, we do have cultural trainings between both teams.
Amazing. So challenge number one, culture, and you nailed it. Second.
Right. The second thing I would say is the clients, right? Obviously, the clients' buy-in was very necessary for the work to be shared in India.
So you're talking about your audit clients in the US or your tax clients in the US, and they had to be on the page that Withum in the US is having a global team sitting out of India, who are going to be working on those client engagements.
Working with them directly, right? If you look at a form like a 1040, you know that you require a consent which is straightforward, but not necessarily for the other kind of forms or an audit or an attest related function. So the first thing that we had to do was help the client understand that, this is the same Withum team. It's not an offshoring center. It's not a KPO where they do work for other CPA firms. This is exclusive to Withum. They are only going to work on. This is our team, right? You work with
same culture,
same
values,
training, same tools, same security. Security was the biggest aspect. Now, if my data goes out, how safe is it, right? And we had to give them that assurance. And our IT team, our CIO did whatever they could to make sure that comfort was given.
Data mostly is in the cloud anyway.
It's in the cloud anyway, but we had to give them our clients, and we need to make sure that they are comfortable and their views are respected, and we give them a solution, right? Hey, this is what we are taking care of. So that was probably the second largest chunk that I would talk about.
Amazing. Any other challenges that you had?
Right. So the third was more the integration between a US professional and an India professional. Now,
in terms of work?
In terms of work and expectation. Now, if I'm hiring an audit senior, the US has a very specific 10-page expectation. As an audit senior, you need to do these 10 things. Now, when I hire somebody laterally, what happens? Are they able to do 10 or 8? It depends on their prior experience, right? So we had to set expectations both sides. Hey, US, give them a season or two. They are going to get there. Give them the adequate support training that is needed, and make sure that the review comments that when you review, goes back to them and they correct the file. You don't correct it and finish the engagement. So that was a conscious decision that we made. From an India standpoint, we always were open to the team members on constructive feedback. So we didn't want to hold feedbacks because we had to show them the mirror. Hey, this is where you are. This is where you have to get to. and this is what you need to do to get there. And that went really well. And many of the staff members who joined us way back are now in the managerial level. That means
There's a big smile on your face.
and that means they are working at the same level as the US, right? And that's a success story for me, right? When we are able to achieve that, that is what I signed up for. And I'm very happy that we are in this position now.
So how did you, so Withum, of course, more than $500 million of business in the US, very large firm. But in India, of course, it was a new practice, right? And a not so known, firm, from an India accounting perspective. How did you work on building the brand for Withum, organically / inorganically? Or did you have to do a lot of effort, or it just happened?
It was a lot of effort, and I should credit my HR team for that. They did a lot of things in the back end, because for us, the biggest market is not the clients in India, but the talent pool. They need to know us, right? Yeah. Talent pool could be lateral, or it could be a fresher out of college. So we did a lot of activities in terms of reaching out to colleges, have a pre-placement talk about the firm, our culture. And even if you go and talk to any of our fresher hiring, they'll say that our pre-placement talk is completely different from what they have heard previously.
Tell us more.
We don't have PPTs.
Okay, that's a great.
We don't have
that's a great start,
right? So we talk about real life experiences.
Wow.
So we take along with us, the alumni of that college who has been with us, who has been serving with us. They talk about their real life experience. So to us, no more marketing is needed beyond this.
Very nice,
right?
Very nice.
Because the person of alumni is talking to his junior, who's 1 or 2 years younger to that person, and if that person is the right fit one, he's going to work with them in the next 1 or 2 years.
Now your recipe is global, Abhinav. Everyone gets to know.
That's fine. As long as this practice helps the community here, the GCCs here, I'm very happy for it.
So, and when you hire talent at Withum, right? So, typically when you look at India CA firms, big fours, public accounting firms in India, right? They want to have chartered accountants for Indian clients. I want to audit an Indian client. I need to be the partner is a chartered accountant. And of course, they want CAs as part of the team. Tax services, again, the partner is a CA and a lot of chartered accountants as part of the team. Now, this is a different track, right? So when you're doing services for US clients, right, you would want CPAs on your team. So how do you see that CA versus CPA question, in terms of hiring talent, in terms of getting folks on a CPA track? How much do you hear from the US that, hey, we want more CPAs on our team in India?
Right. So currently, given the combination in our team, both CA, CPA have been really working well for us.
Sure.
Right. But looking forward, I think CPA is much more aligned to what we are doing.
Because that's a service
requisition, right? So you talk about, US auditing standards or an accounting standard or understanding a PCAB regulation. It comes more with the curriculum that is learned in the CPA program. Not that CA is anyway inferior.
CAs can be quickly trained, but I think the credibility as well, right?
Correct.
So
it's the biggest part around that is the credibility. Now, when we are positioning our teams in front of the end clients, when we tell them that, hey, this person, your audit manager is a certified public accountant out of India, the credibility multifolds and it's immediate. And it's a plug and play for us. That comfort level is there that, somebody who has been trained in the same curriculum as the CFO of that particular organization is going to do, he's going to audit from out of India office, they are perfectly fine with that. So that has really helped us. And our plan is to bring in more CPAs and scale up the current team in terms of, working with your organization, making sure that they get trained and complete their certifications at the earliest. So that's in our card and one of the biggest agenda items for in the next 12 to 14 months for us.
So we recruit, we enroll, tens of thousands of candidates every year into the CPA program. Of course, a lot of them are successful. Now, typically, when we look at the persona of the candidates, we have a significant chunk of candidates who went on the CA track, CA intern maybe, or maybe thought of the CA track, but realized, okay, hey, it's a marathon, right? I mean, you've run the marathon, so of course, you become a black belt in accounting in India, but it's a lot of hard work, right? And Gen Zs today want something quick, right? So CPA 4 exam sounds exciting to them, and it allows us to sort of lure them into this. And they're great career paths. Everybody gets employed. I mean, we have 100%, 100% placement rate in India, right? Because firms like yours, scaling up, wanting to hire CPAs. So it's been a great journey in terms of getting a lot of those folks who were in the beginning or didn't start on the traditional Indian accounting journey, which is a chartered accountant. Of course, CA is great from an India perspective, but if you want to work for a GCC, you want to work for a multinational company, CPA is the way to go. But and we also have a lot of candidates who've completed their CA or chartered accountants and come on the track. But we find a little bit of an iffy there, right? Chartered accountants, again, of course, they're Indian black belts and they're very proud of it. And for them, the question is, I've worked so hard to become a chartered accountant. When I gave my CA final exams, I had decided this is going to be the end of my academic journey. I will not study more. So how do you get a chartered accountant to become a CPA?
That's a very interesting question.
And the question is also directed at you, Abhinav.
Right.
You've been in the GCC space. You've been a leader. You're building up great teams. And you're a chartered accountant. You're a black belt. No questions there. Why not CPA?
Absolutely. Fantastic question. And I want to go back to my thought process when I was giving my CA final. So this was probably that was my second attempt in which I passed. So when I went and sat in the exam hall, I just looked around. Then I saw a couple of middle-aged people writing an exam. For me, that was a pulling factor. I shouldn't be one of them. I have to finish. I have to pass this exam, right? And to me, that was a push. And that's the push that is needed for these guys also, right? So right now, what's happening is when it comes to an accelerated career path for somebody, they know that they have completed their CA, which is great, which is definitely credible, which is useful for what they do. But when it comes to a designation beyond a director, beyond a managing director, CPA comes into play. And that's where we want to push our professionals as well, right? This is a globally recognized certification. If you want to manage a book of business of a clientele, they need to understand that you are a CPA, right? So it's no longer that you're in your comfort zone, that you're a CA, but go beyond. It's not very difficult for you to, you've already, won the sprint. It's now just four more exams that you'll have to finish, right? So that's a push that we are giving. But the whole strategy for us is, if you're managing a book of business, it is imperative that you must be a US CPA.
So you are a leader, of a CPA firm, GCC in India. When do we get your enrollment?
Great. You're putting me on spot now. Yeah, I'm intrigued and I'm somebody who always wants to learn. And I've just started off my academics again. I've just passed one certification related to my role very recently. And CPA is something which is in my radar, and I'll certainly get back to you.
Sure. So Abhinav, that you're building up and scaling up your team at Withum in India, how does your typical day or a typical week look like, right? How does it like kick-ass, exciting?
Right. It is generally very diabolic, I would say. I would have a list of to-dos that I need to accomplish on a daily basis. Half of it doesn't get done because my schedule is very dynamic. So the first half of my day is predominantly helping my teams, right? There could be many things that come on a day-to-day basis. So helping them do that. The second half is to work with my stakeholders in the state side, right? There could be, some brainstorming session in terms of how can we do better strategically, operationally, etc. Those happen. Then my stakeholders, it could be my practice leaders from the US, niche leaders, service line leaders, helping them understand what's happening on the ground and giving them the true picture of the integration between India and the US. So that's how my day is. And obviously in between this is a lot of administrative tasks that come in, as a signatory or as a person running the operations here. So that comes in day in and day out. But overall, you can never plan for a very precise point that, hey, this is what I'm going to accomplish in this particular day. And it's exciting so far. And that's how this role is all about, right?
So, and you said, you were very excited that a lot of your staff that you hired in your Withum India team, they've grown to managerial positions, and that makes you feel wow, and you're very proud. What are the aha moments, the wow moments, that you typically have, on your job?
Right. When I get a direct feedback that a fresher has done a phenomenal job, the email directly comes to me.
Okay.
I'm excited. I'm excited to see that. That's what I want to hear more. right? Fresher getting that feedback within a month of 2 or joining is phenomenal, right? And that's what we want to recognize.
And how do you get
empower.
more and more freshers get on that track? I mean, is that a lot of learning and development involved? Is that a lot of hand holding? Or you just, push them into the water and like, okay, I'm pushing you in, you'll figure out how to swim.
Right. So first of all, we call them as empower team members. So, they empower the organization, they empowers the group that they work in. So they are our strategic assets. So we don't treat them as freshers. We give them the right forum for them to learn and grow. Now, coming back to your question, what we generally do is the initial part of the onboarding, we focus a lot on communication. When I say communication, it could be oral, email, how do you be visible on the video calls, etc. Right? So that really builds a lot of trust with the US. When they know that this person is able to articulate effectively, build that trust, they obviously are ready to give in more work. And more work they give, more prepared these people are. They get into a lot of, it's not that every time somebody gets a good feedback. There are a lot of learnings. They learn, they come back strong on the next job, they make sure that they implement. Now, collectively, what we do is through our coaching team, we have a monthly session with them on a very particular topic. It could be about client service. It could be about how do you go above and beyond. How do you make sure that you're able to effectively articulate your contributions, etc. Right? And how do you effectively work with your coaches as well, right? You should be asking the right question for you to get the right support. So we do have a step-by-step process where we train them and help them understand what their role is. And by month 12, they're generally ready for the next levels, right? It could be an experienced staff. And then from there on, it's business as usual. The expectations are set that, hey, at a staff 2 level, this is what you're expected to do. And go
so a clear career path.
Clear career path. And that's transparent as well. We tell them that, hey, you join us as an empower, then you move into a staff 1, then after that it's staff 2 and senior immediately after that, right? So it's not that they have a 1-year lag compared to
What if you want to jump?
We have cases. We do have cases where we have accelerated promotions as well. They have spent a shorter span in their respective designations. Instead of 2 years, they would have spent
I'm
1
ambitious,
year.
I want to go fast. Yeah.
Exactly. We have had those cases as well. And once again, these people make me really smile and be proud of the selections that we have, right? And many instances of that where they've come in, grown quickly into a senior within 2 years. And they are starting to manage team and ready to be an supervisor or an associate manager level also in the next 1 year.
Amazing. So Abhinav, again, I think this is great. This is fantastic. A great career track, a great leader. But I still have this question, right? So if I'm a CPA today, I have many options, in terms of trying to work at various firms. Many years back, we actually created an ad commercial for CPA, which was more around the interviewer in the room. And at the end of the commercial, it was revealed that the interviewer was basically the CPA candidate who was interviewing the firms who were trying to hire that candidate. So again, with the increase in the GCC ecosystem, Big Four is doing well, mid-tier public accounting firms, even Fortune 500s, Accentures, Amazons of the world, right? So scaling up big time in India. There are a lot of career opportunities, for CPAs or professionals wanting to work with global teams. In this entire landscape, why should I choose, if I'm a CPA, why should I choose Withum, over all the other options?
No, it's a fantastic question, right? Number one is we are very proud of our culture, and right from the CEO till somebody who has joined us yesterday is taken through that culture in terms of the Withum way of working. So it's not that India office has got a...
So it's got to bring a Withum way of working.
Withum way. We call it a Withum way. We call it as a Withum way. That's the way we, promote it internally, right? So when somebody is not doing what they're supposed to do, we clearly tell them this is not the Withum way of working, right? And when we talk about the culture, right, the India and the US's offices has got exactly the same culture. It's not that because we are a GCC, we have which is completely aligned. Even we have rotators from the state side. When they come in and sit with the teams, they say, this is exactly like working in my San Francisco office or in my New York office or in New Jersey office. So that's what we are aiming to achieve, and that's what we are trying to push in. And for me, culture is the first thing when it comes to fitment, both sides. The candidate should be culturally aligned to what we do, and the other way as well. So that is something that we are very proud of, and we are working in, day out to manage culture. Culture is not something that falls from the sky, right? It's what I create, it's what people with me who work with me create. And we are accountable for that. If things are not going as planned, I should get to know, I should be acting on it as a managing director of this office.
Absolutely. And often we say in accounting, right, tone at the top.
Tone at the top, exactly. And when I'm like we spoke previously, I'm coming from a quality background, and that's the first thing we talk. If a partner in charge or an engagement partner is doing what he's supposed to do, that will drill down to all the levels below him. And if that doesn't happen, then all the levels are going to not meet the expectations, right? So that is one thing that we are proud of. The second is the client service. So we at Withum are very proud of our client serving professionals, right? When I talk about client serving, the end client sitting in the States and paying for the fees, right? So we want every one of us to be directly client facing with minimal involvement from the US, where obviously the engagement partner is going to be there, who's going to be front-ending the client, but beyond which the team members in India can directly front-end, talk to the clients, be a trusted advisor to them, and people who come into Withum have that opportunity.
Very nice.
And all they have to do is demonstrate that they are up for it, because it is not going to be something which is simple, right? There may be 1 or 2 calls that may be scheduled late at night. Are you flexible enough to attend those calls? Because clients are clients, right? We'll have to make sure that we work around their schedules, right? So on and so forth. So this really helps us.
But this is great exposure, right? It's sort of an itch in the beginning,
right?
But then, once you're on it, and even the clients are pretty reasonable. I mean, we work with a lot of stakeholders in the US. They understand,
right?
And they're in most cases, very accommodative.
Right. I have this wonderful experience that happened about a couple of years ago. We have currently an associate director in our firm who was on a rotation to the US. So he met with the client, had a dinner, did everything sitting in the client's place, then came back to India. Then apparently the client has reached out to the partners to say, hey, can you ask this person to come to my office tomorrow? I want to talk to him. Then the partner says, oh, no, this guy is from the India team. He's not from the US offices. The client was shocked. He didn't even realize till that point in time that he was working with somebody based out of India. Imagine the number of late night calls this professional had, probably to service that client. I think to me, that is going above and beyond.
Wow.
Right? And helping the client.
Wow.
And giving that seamless experience, right? It's not about geographies, it's about client service at Withum. Whether you're getting a work done in New York or Bengaluru, it is the same.
So as you say, it's perhaps the Withum way of working.
Withum way of working.
Amazing. So Abhinav, you've come this far. It's been about 4 years in Withum now?
Yes, that's right.
So, and you've scaled up the team. I think when you joined, it was 50 odd people, 50 and now you're like 450. So that's a large team. What's next?
Absolutely. So at Withum, there is a lot of exciting opportunities that are coming from the state side, and I've lost track of the mergers that are happening even very recently.
Yeah, the M&As
that are happening, and that directly fuels our growth here. So whenever M&A happens, the India team is front-ending in terms of the data transformation for those teams, those new CPA firms coming into Withum, right? We help them with the data process, migration, going through the Withum way. So our team is committed towards that, and slowly, parallel to that process, build out a team for them here based on the skill set need for that particular office. So that is happening. I'm also very excited to say that we are shortly opening our office in Ahmedabad, which is one exciting opportunity for us.
So Bangalore and now Ahmedabad. Very nice.
Right, and we have scaled up the team there, and we are very excited about the prospects there in terms of growth and the talent pool that we see there. And both offices are going to grow simultaneously, and we are very excited about the future.
Amazing. So you spoke about how involved the Withum India team is when you are getting new acquisitions, mergers and acquisitions, and getting new teams on board. Do you mean to say that the India team also acts like a sort of a custodian for a lot of best practices? Because often what you see in CPA firms is you have various offices, let's say a New York office or a Chicago office or a Houston office, and then you have all the different offices having a little bit of different practices, different cultures, of course, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of integration within the firm, but there are always some gaps. Does the India team come into play in terms of telling the Chicago office, the New York office does it this way, and this is the Withum way of working, and this is a cool way. Perhaps you should look at this. I mean, do you help in transformation of processes of client engagements by using internal best practices and sharing it with other teams?
No, absolutely. Great question. And where India sits at this point, it's got a vantage view of so many different things happening. In
So how many offices do you have at Withum?
We have about 26 different offices on the state side. I'm sure as I'm talking, one or two might be added in there.
Sure.
So where we are sitting at this point, we have a bird's eye view of how things happen. For example, if you look at, let's say, Form 1040, that varies slightly between different offices.
True.
Now, what we do is that's where our experienced professionals like senior managers and associate directors come in. They look at these opportunities to be a training ground to help the other offices to understand this is what is the firm level initiatives in terms of usage of a form or a methodology or a tool. Why don't we incorporate that, right? And then that gets into a larger discussion at a service line level, and that gets implemented, rolled out from the US. So we are very strategically positioned, and we have our connects with the service line leader from the state side, giving them that opportunity to say, this is what we are observing from our side. And to me, in my role, one thing that limits me here is if I want to take a person from New York office, put him to a Chicago office, he won't be able to work because
you can do that easily, right? You just tell him.
Yeah, because the methodology is slightly different. So I need to train him.
Okay.
To adapt to that methodology, then I can put him there. So for me, it helps me with managing my utilization, making sure that the people are getting the right experiences as well. If the product is
so just sort of looking at this analogy, right? So if let's say you are overstaffed in New York City and you are understaffed in Chicago, you can't really do that in the US, right? I mean, you can't just ask three people to just take a plane and take their stuff and relocate to Chicago overnight. But you can do that very, very seamlessly. And and a person who's worked for both the offices would now know the difference, and of course an opinion on what's better.
Correct.
So either you go back to New York and say, okay, Chicago guys do it this way, you guys should do it too. Absolutely. Or you tell Chicago, okay, you know what, New York does it this. I mean, I'm just creating a situation here.
That's where it is. That's where it's very easy for us to scale up a team here and position them in where areas are needed. Right, in terms of support. For example, in your example, if I have a team member aligned to the New York office here, and if Chicago suddenly needs, okay, I have a big win, okay, fine. You can reposition here. Just train them on what you need.
Correct.
They'll deliver it, right? And the next step is in terms of harmonizing the practices, making sure that the best practices.
I like the word harmonizing the practices. Yeah,
best practices are shared both sides, and that's a firm level initiative. But here at Withum, that's what we do at Withum India. We help scale up the team quickly. We had a couple of recent mergers and they wanted team members with a very specific skill set. So we had to cull out from different teams, form them a team in a very short notice, and currently they are in the second month of execution with the new practice. So that's how quickly we can scale up and give the solution out of India.
Wow. And you have an amazing talent pool here who's really committed and very open and flexible.
Absolutely. They are the best professionals that we can find in the industry. And they are adaptable, agile, and they go above and beyond for the client service and working the Withum way.
True. So, what I'm going to do now, Abhinav, is a little bit of rapid fire.
Perfect.
So, and we're going to have some quirky questions as well, and you got to be quick.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Abhinav, one word that defines your leadership style.
Trust-based.
Okay. So you have a lot of trust. And in both ways, you trust your team and your team trusts you.
Team trusts me.
One thing that you think Indian talent does better than the world thinks?
I think we are very resilient as a workforce.
I totally agree with that. One myth about India GCCs that you would want to bust?
Big one. So it's definitely not a back office any longer. We are value enablers at this point.
And best practice custodians or best practice harmonizers, using your word.
Absolutely.
Okay. A tech trend that you're very excited about in accounting.
A tech trend in accounting, right? I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by use of AI for a lot of forensic audits because I think there's a lot of scope in that and it's going to minimize the human intervention. We do have an excellent forensic team at Withum, and I believe they are working on something very unique to Withum they're going to deploy as a solution. So I'm very excited towards that.
Amazing. So, that you're working so closely, with the US and global teams, predominantly in the US, how, let's say, how close are you still to Indian culture? Let's say, do you still watch Tamil movies or Bollywood movies?
No, absolutely, I do whenever I get some time, but I'm not a real big movie buff. I do watch movies, if I hear a good feedback about them, I do definitely go and watch.
Okay, so you sort of want the audit feedback.
Yeah, you can say
The
that.
review.
You can say that. But I wouldn't go like voluntarily watch a movie just because it's released. So
What's your favorite movie that you've seen in the last few months?
in the last few months, I've seen this Tamil movie called Vijayaraghavan. I'm not sure if you'll be able to pronounce that because it's very unique to Tamil. It's a fantastic movie, and if you've not watched it, you should watch it, even if it comes in a dubbed version. It's fantastic.
So, who's your favorite actor, in the Tamil or in the Bollywood film industry?
I would say in Bollywood, it would be Shah Rukh Khan, and he's been there, he has been ruling it, and he has evolved himself. No matter how many actors have come in.
Do you see Shah Rukh Khan movies?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of them, and
Which one's your favorite?
I just love Swades. It is one of the
That's
prolific
happened
movies.
with you all the time, right? South Africa to India, New York City to India.
No, absolutely, and I think Shah Rukh was himself in that movie, and the character was so relatable. The way he came, he saw things there, and amazing transformation. First, it was a denial. Hey, no, it can't be this way. Then he understood what the problem was, then got into the solution, then executed it. That was pretty phenomenal as a movie.
So you like the structure of the solving the water problem.
Water problem, yeah. That was unique, and it was very nicely articulated by the director.
Amazing. So, before a big boardroom presentation, what is the song that runs in your head?
I would say I'll have to think through this. It can't be a rapid fire because for me, songs are something which changes often.
Sure.
For me. So one thing that I would say is maybe Yun Hi Chal Raha Rahi from Swades. I really like that song, primarily because of the vibe that it gives. The beats that
Keep going.
That keep going.
Keep calm. Keep going.
Keep calm.
I
Keep
think
going.
That's the perfect song for an accountant.
Absolutely.
Resilience.
Yeah, and it encompasses that really beautifully well, and it's well shot. So that really works for me.
So, if your career were a Bollywood or a Collywood movie, what would you name it?
Bollywood or a Collywood movie, I would say, by the recent trend, I would say a director's cut or something, right? Because there are a lot of things that happen in the back end, right? And it's not just about me executing it; it's about the trust that really my ecosystem builds, my family, my leaders here, as well as in the States. The trust in ecosystem, right? There are a lot of back end things that really happen that doesn't come into the forelight when I come and execute or do something. So I think this is important for me to to really recognize them, and probably director's cut is something where I can really show them that this is an extended version. Without this wouldn't have been possible. So that's the way I see it.
Amazing. So if you weren't an accountant, so if Abhinav Vijayaraghavan was not an accountant, who would you be?
I would be somebody in a tech field, 100%. And my wife still says that I should have taken technology as my practice.
But that's a great thing, right? Tech and accounting.
Tech and accounting. It's fantastic as a practice, but it's a missed bus now. But if I had to go back 20 years, that's what I would do. Probably do something around technology and evolve slowly into data science in this time and age, and probably getting into AI.
Amazing. So Abhinav, let's say after this podcast, some film director from the Tamil film industry, sees this and they're like super excited and they want to cast you in one of the movies. What would your response be?
My response would be, yeah, why not? Why not? Give it a try, right?
So thank you so much, Abhinav, for your time. This was really, really nice. Before we wrap this up, one message that we want from you to all the young accountants who are out there. A lot of Gen Zs trying to figure out, is accounting the right track for me? Is CPA the right track for me? What should I do in my career? What would be your message to all these youngsters?
No, I think accounting is a field that is very dynamic, right? And my messaging to the professionals would be to be adaptable, be resilient. That is the way forward, because eventually, few years down the line, it's not going to be about accounting or healthcare or software. It's all going to be integrated with technology. So people have to see the growth in technology as something which is helping them and not really fight with it. See how better you can use that to your advantage. And accounting is here to stay, because no tool or an AI can replace an auditor's judgment.
Absolutely.
You're still going to be there giving your audit opinion, and your skill sets are still really valued, and it is going to be there for times immemorial.
Thank you so much, Abhinav, for your time. Really appreciate, and this was amazing.
My pleasure, Varun, and thanks for having me here. It was great interacting with you.